because I went to the Euros 6 months before the World Cup and didn't play a game. Literally did not play one game, and then went to the World Cup, as you say, and we won it. So I think for me the message on that is that you just got to be positive and get what you need to get out of it yourself and be a good teammate for the rest of the lads.
We're here today with Curtis Anderson at St George's Park, former professional goalkeeper and World Cup winner. So Curtis, you joined us last night. How was it? Is it different? Has it changed since you last were with England?
No, I think the setup and everything's the same. It's nice to see that nothing has actually really changed other than a few new faces.
You spoke around being at an England goalkeeping camp when you were younger. What do you remember of that?
I think the first time I came to a goalkeeper camp was before I'd actually been to a team camp. So I think for me, I was just looking forward to being at St George's Park. I think the excitement to actually wear an England training top and train was the main thing I do remember. And then the other thing I think was exciting was to just train with other goalkeepers from other clubs, because when you're at your team, you're training with the same people most days. So it was just nice to kind of pitch myself against the standard of other guys.
What did it feel like, that moment of sticking an England training top, England shirt on for the first time?
I think it was, for me, it was the next level up. Being coached by England goalkeeper coaches, it is that next progression from the club, and I guess all the standards are raised and you expect a little bit more of yourself and the guys you're training with, and I think everyone's feeling the same, so it brings the level in training up.
So that's obviously the pinnacle of where you ended up in terms of a World Cup winner, being with England.
Yep.
Talk to us about where it all started. So the 7-year-old, the 8-year-old in the back garden.
The local team had a few age groups, but none that were the age of me and my school friends, like maybe under 7s or something, and the local team didn't have an under 7, so my dad decided to take and create that age group. And I never played in goal to start with, played outfield, but with my dad being the coach or the manager, so to speak, of an under 7s team, every time we had entered a tournament, I'd play outfield up until maybe the semi-finals, and then I'd go in goal.
Think it helped you playing outfield before going in goal?
Not really. People ask me that a lot, but I think because of the age I was at that point, I quickly went to playing goal and staying in goal. I've moved to Blackpool when I was like 8 years old, so it wasn't as if I played outfield for very long, maybe 12 months maximum. And like I said, it wasn't that I was just an outfield player, it was a little bit of both.
So how quickly after grassroots football did you move into academy football?
Not sure whether Blackpool would have been classed as an academy back then. I think it was a centre of excellence, but like I said, very quickly, probably within 12 months, I think. I feel like I went into academy football quite quickly.
So would that have been the first time that you had a goalkeeping coach, per se?
Yes, again, under 8s at Blackpool, I think the goalkeeper coach was probably coaching the 18s down to the under 8s, so I don't know how much coaching I really got until I was probably 10 or 11, when I feel like the whole setup at Blackpool improved a little bit. We moved from training at their actual training ground next to the airport to My Score College, which was a bit more of it felt a bit more like every age group had a bit more structure, because I remember we trained at a certain time, then when we finished, I remember the older groups would then come on when we finished. So I remember as coach then, and that's where I got introduced to Max Johnson, who's now Man City.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was probably my first consistent coach.
At what age did you move to Man City?
11.
Okay. How was that
11.
for you?
I didn't really want to go just because I'd settled in and was enjoying playing for Blackpool, but when I did leave and move over to City, the first thing I realised was like, wow, this is a high level, and I didn't feel like I was good enough at first.
So you mentioned there you didn't feel maybe part of it, or like a bit like an imposter syndrome.
Yeah, a little bit.
That. How did you get over that at 11?
My dad just telling me to just keep working hard. My mum telling me to keep working hard. I think Tim was involved. I remember speaking to Tim. I don't know whether it was when I first joined or whether I was maybe like 2 or 3 years into City, but again, just remember, just keep your head down and keep working hard. And I think I was quite lucky that I don't really remember any goalkeepers my age. I think it might have been a bit tough if I was seeing someone as a goalkeeper my age that was a lot better than me, but I just remember being in the team sessions thinking these lads are really good. And like the tournaments we played against, I was going from playing like for the teams Blackpool were playing against us in little tournaments were very different to playing for Man City, playing against Man United, playing against Liverpool, playing against Everton. These teams I'd never even considered playing against. And it was just like a big deal to be playing against teams like this.
So a really good support network is what you're saying here. So if I link it back to like grassroots football at the moment, that support network, whether it be from a coach or whether it be from a parent, was probably massive for you.
Yeah.
What's your greatest memory at City?
I just remember like a 2-year window, maybe from 14 to 16, leaving school at midday every day to the go and train, and like getting out on the grass, like rushing to get your kit on, get out on the grass for like 1 o'clock, 1:30, and like the goalie sessions with like Max, and then just playing on a Saturday for like the 15s and 16s. Just like that 2-year window is probably my best memory of just really enjoying it.
Favourite session during that time?
Anything that was flowing. I didn't like the just breaking it down technical. I liked it. If I can obviously appreciate there's a time and a place for technical, but I think just having like maybe 3 or 4 goalies in one session, 1 keeper in, shots from angles, just like maybe you play a bit of possession out, maybe a little bit of passing into you out, and then
so things that look like the game.
Yeah, that absolutely everything that looks like the game.
Competitive.
Yes, I was always trying to win, and like, but then it's good as well because I enjoy trying to score. I always enjoy trying to score.
The frustrated striker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's absolutely. When you're 1-0 down, you're just trying to smash the ball so hard and you miss a target.
What did you want at the end? What was the ultimate win in a competition? What could a coach put on for you that would be like, yeah, I want to? Is it a bag of Haribos?
Oh no, it's just me to tell everyone else I beat them.
Brilliant.
No, I wasn't bothered about anything else. I just wanted to know that when we're going to the session that we're walking over the team and you know that I've beaten you.
Love it.
That was what I was interested in.
So when you came to England, your first goalkeeping camp, what were your sights set on?
Getting in the teams.
Okay.
Getting to a team camp. Because I remember I didn't get called up to the first team camp at 15, 16. I think the lads went to Italy. And I remember Max, I went out to train, I didn't even know what was going on, and Max told me about it before training, like on the pitch. And yeah, I just remember being absolutely good. And I think that's probably the start of that 2-year period.
So that's a really good message what you're saying there, because you came on a goalkeeping camp, you didn't get selected for the first camp.
Nope.
But then you find yourself 18 months to 2 years later, winning the World Cup and being the number 1 in that team. It's quite interesting because the goalkeepers that we have come on the camps, I think a lot see it as a linear progression. You come on a goalkeeper camp, you go on the next camp, and therefore you'll be with the team for the...
Well, that's the thing. If you look at the 3 or 4 years I played in the teams, I never played. I was never the number 1 goalkeeper. There was never a number 1 goalkeeper. It was always chopping and changing, and it was always... I think one of my messages that I like to, I guess, give to younger lads, goalkeepers or not, is just to try and be in and around it. So if you're in the squad, even if you're not playing while you're there, so just keep giving a good attitude and keep working hard, because the next one you might... Because I went to the Euros 6 months before the World Cup and didn't play a game. Literally did not play 1 game, and then went to the World Cup, as you say, and we won it. So I think for me the message on that is that you just got to be positive and get what you need to get out of it yourself, and be a good teammate for the rest of the lads.
Who was your competition during that period of time?
Over the years with England, I had there's a few: Tom McGill, Billy, Joe Burzik.
Good crop of goalkeepers then.
Yeah, good standard.
What did you feel at the time that you had to beat? So we talk around goalkeepers. You know, I want to be better than him.
Yeah.
In everything that I can be. But what was the key things? Was it defend the area, defend the goal, defend the space? Was it character?
Of course, like being effective was obviously very important, because we wouldn't be in the room if you weren't effective in being in goal, like catching a quick cross and playing fast counter-attack type things like that. But yes, of course, like I think being in possession on the ball and being calm on the ball, yes, it was important, but I think that was also just what was expected in a way. So I don't think I came into a camp thinking you need to be very good at this. I think I came into the camp thinking be confident and be consistent. As I got older, especially towards like the World Cup, for example, it was more like if I do well in training or I don't do well in training, it doesn't really matter as long as I can stay at a level. So then when I play the game, I keep at a certain level, because again, like match winning saves or big actions in games, they're going to happen because you're in the team. That's why you've been picked. It's more like just making sure that you're consistent in all the other little bits that you might not expect to be an England goalkeeper type thing. Again,
a really interesting point, because a lot of coaches and a lot of players will focus on the end actions, the big parts of the game. But in actual fact, you just spoke there in the psych and social corner that are massively important to any player that comes on an England camp, let alone a goalkeeper. I think consistency is a big one in terms of behaviours and in terms of the actions that you portray on the pitch.
Absolutely.
But like you've just said there, like what you bring to the team is quite key. You know, from a leadership point of view. I don't know, were you a big leader in the team?
It was surprised me when we were at the World Cup. Steve Cooper, the manager, he got us all to fill in what's it called, anonymous like messages about your teammates, and we then got presented with them all. I was surprised when I got mine back and what the lads said about me, because I didn't know who said it. But one of the things on there was like leadership, calm, confident, and like looks after everybody. And I'd never put myself down as that type of person. But I think when like I asked a few people afterwards, even though I never found out who actually put it, I think it was like going back to everyone's seen me as quite just a relaxed, like might not be the loudest person. I was very vocal in games and said what I needed to say in games, which I think is a big part of any goalkeeper, what they need to be doing. But at the same time, I wasn't one of them to go in the dressing room before or after or half time to start shouting at people. It was more, I feel like what people meant by the messages they put on the card for me was just probably a bit of a role model by being consistently calm.
So you just touched on their communication now. Yeah. With every single interview that we've done so far, all of the former players and now coaches have spoken around communication and how key it is either on the pitch or off the pitch.
Yeah. What
would be your message around communication?
I think it's the way you say something, to be honest. You need to say like clear, concise information. It was a little tip someone told me, and I didn't really appreciate how simple it was until I said it in a game and someone checked. It was like, instead of saying shoulders, say like which shoulder. So like the defenders that manage your left shoulder, say left shoulder, because he knows to just check his left shoulder.
Key moments that you communicate in the game?
When the ball goes dead, to be honest. I think especially when maybe we're under a bit of pressure, just telling everyone just to relax, like we got through it. A little challenge to myself of when the ball's down the other end, just keep just saying the odd thing to a defender just to make sure they don't fall asleep. Counter-attacks happen quickly. So the last thing you want is someone to just be off it by half a second, and that cost us. So
communication probably happens in a few different ways, doesn't it? Like leadership to get something that needs to be done.
Yeah.
You know, you're instructing somebody. And probably the big one that never gets spoken around is like problem solving. So you speaking to your defender or your pivot player, it might be from a build point of view. I'm sure that happened many a times at the World Cup where you had to problem solve on the pitch in front of 55,000 people because the manager couldn't get the message across.
Yeah, I think with that as well, it's like communication that isn't necessarily vocal as well. It's like pointing, shoulders. Even where you stand can be important sometimes, especially when you say like building out from the back and being on the ball, just being relaxed on the ball. If you're given the right angles, even though the ball might come to you, if you're in a possession-based team playing out from the back, it puts a question in the striker's head of where does he stand or who does he press.
So the World Cup experience, was that the best experience you've had in football so far?
Yeah, definitely. I think I say definitely because I remember winning, like it was winning at the end of the game, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. But then I think what I really appreciated afterwards was just the full 6 weeks. It was such a positive energy around the group. It was such like a family-based approach, and I think I remember afterwards thinking, obviously it's easy to say with hindsight, but I was like confident we were going to win the whole time. Even when we went down in the final, I was like, it's all right, we've still got time, we'll do all right, we're a good team. And I think because everyone was so together, staff and players, I think that's the biggest thing I noticed.
So go on then, talk to me about your career after that. What happened to where you are now?
My first year after the World Cup, I was playing for the 18s with Man City as a scholar. Finished that year, then moved up to with the 21s. So I was rotating games with a few of the other keepers, playing some games, playing in like the Youth Champions League, which was a great experience, training with the first team quite a few times. When I look back at it now, 6-7 years later, I just look at it and go like, you were 18, just relax. And I wish I could have said that to myself, just relax a little bit. But yeah, I went to play in America because I seen the opportunity to just play men's football, which is all really I wanted to do, right or wrongly, at 18. So I went over there, played 10 games. The manager that signed me got sacked. So that quickly went from playing to not playing. And the new guy wasn't too interested in playing me. So yeah, I came back from America and then had a deal with Charlton that nearly went through, but then COVID started. Literally, it was like, well, sorry, but we can't do anything, but nobody else can either, which was understandable from their point of view. But by this point, I'd been out of that club now for 6 to 9 months, not played in England for 12 months. So I feel like my stock values obviously started to decrease by this point because I've been out of sight, out of mind a little bit. Then got a lucky break with Wickham, So an old goalkeeper coach from my days at Blackpool, actually, he offered for me to go in and train there for a little bit, so I did. They signed me. And then, yeah, spent 18 months with them, which was good. It was in the first team, so different environment to Man City, completely different in terms of just full first team training. No real, well, it wasn't a youth team, so it was all intense. Got to win. We were in the Championship, so they were trying to stay up. So that was really enjoyable experience to be part of. I was on the bench for quite a few games, so again, that was a good experience. Signed another contract with them, but it just didn't work out after a few opportunities where I felt like I was going to play, didn't play. But I think that's where my interest in finance really started, because I'd obviously left Man City with some money in the bank, and yes, even though I'd been out of a job for 12 months, I still felt like I should have had quite a bit of it left over. I didn't. I basically ran out of money. I spoke to the PFA, did an accountancy exam because I wanted to get into finance, but didn't necessarily know what finance was. Just knew it was numbers. Accountancy is numbers. So I did an exam in that, passed the exam, but realised that it wasn't really for me. It was a little bit not what I was really interested in. So that's when I started to look into the more financial advice exams and wealth management, which was interesting to me. So took that a little bit more serious. And then when I did decide to leave Wycombe, because I was getting paid from them and was playing a little bit non-league, I didn't necessarily need money. So with training in non-league as well, it's in the evenings. So throughout the day, quickly within like 2 weeks, I realised that like I'm just sat here doing nothing all day. So I went into a local financial advisor that my parents knew and just said to him, I don't need you to pay me for anything. I'm interested to see how you do things in real life. Completely no goals to being a financial advisor. Of literally doing this as a stopgap between February and summer to play non-league. Quite enjoyed the process of what he was doing, got through my exams, and then got a few offers to go back into the league, and just thought I was enjoying playing again. And I knew that the offers I was getting, I wasn't going to play. I thought, you know what, I'm going to back myself for another year, playing non-league, and then hopefully in a year's time, when I do move clubs either to a higher level non-league team or into the league again, it's going in as a number one. I decided to stick at the finance advising through the day. And then last game of pre-season, I got injured, got my teeth kicked in, so I was out for like 2 months. So it was not really a great start to this new season of playing at non-league. But yeah, by this point, fast forwarding a little bit, I'd got through quite a few of my exams, and I really realised that if there's what's happened to me with money has happened to me, and I didn't feel like I was necessarily spending anything, I can't imagine what all the other lads in my team had gone through. Some of the lads from Wycombe had started asking me a few questions because they'd heard I was doing it. And I was just getting the odd people asking me the odd thing about what to do or how to do this or how to do that. And I just thought, well, there's clearly an area for this. People need help. So I left that firm, went to the firm that wanted to support what I was wanting to do, and that was where I guess the journey continues from 2 years ago, to be honest. So now, like I said, I head up our football department. I look after quite a few players from Premier League down to League Two, lads from scholar wages up to Premier League wages. So I enjoy it a lot more than I really expected to, and I think that's why I've kind of got peace with not playing football anymore, because football gave me the opportunity to meet people, to go places, to really figure out how to be driven and to be resilient and to push. And I feel like that's now what I've taken a job where I'm supporting people who have gone through or going through what I went through in football financially, but also I can really take control of what I want to do, which I felt like I lacked in football for especially the last 2 years of my career. Just felt like a lot of it was outside of my hands.
Interesting, because 18 years old, you're probably not self-aware.
No,
you wanted to make the choices that you wanted to make.
Yeah.
Fast forward time, you're now very self-aware in terms of what you want to do. And probably what you said there, really, really key, is football sometimes gives the 1% or even less a very lucky route to professional football in whatever league it is, playing at the top level, earning good money. But in actual fact, football that prepared you from 7 years old, working with your dad and, you know, putting the gloves on and scoring all the goals, actually prepared you for now.
Yeah.
So all of those football experiences prepared you for something different to give back to football.
Yeah, and I think like when people would say to me, "Oh, like, do you regret anything in football?" I'm like, absolutely not, because it's given me everything. And I think the opportunities I've got in finance because of football in theory, the reason I started doing what I do now is because I needed me at 18. When I go into clubs to speak to the lads about finance, I'm like, yes, half of what I'm talking to you is about just make some smart decisions with your money and think about doing this, this and this. But realistically, it's just try to relate with them because I needed someone like me to go and say to someone at me at 18 and just like, honestly, lads, just relax. Like, you're going to be fine. Whether you play football, you're going to have a great life. If you don't play football, you're still going to have a great life. And I think that's what I needed to hear at 18, because what I said before about what changed when I got to 18 and turned pro, it turned from being enjoyment to enjoyment plus a little bit of stress of thinking, how do I progress? Because if I don't play football, what do I do? Whereas if someone had just said to me, like, play football, you'll have a great time. If you don't play football, you'll still have a great time. I'd just be able to go into games with just a little bit more settled.
So with all those experiences then,
Yeah.
of all those years gone by, 2 bits of advice, okay? One, for the players out there at the moment.
Yeah.
And the second one being for the coaches out there that are dealing with the players or working with the players.
Well, I think for the coaches, it depends on what level they're at and I guess what age group the players are, because like grassroots football, I think you just got to enjoy it. It's all got to be about enjoyment, surely. And then same with academy football, to be honest. If you can create an environment where the lads are enjoying what they are doing every single day, you're going to get the best out of them. So the players just to go into every game and just relax and just to think, like, no matter what happens, you're going to be okay. I think, of course, enjoy it, of course, like, do it for whatever reason you want to play, but at the same time, there's no point ever, there's no need, and it's not necessary to go into any game with any worries or stress or anything. So,
well, I'm hoping that you're going to really enjoy today with the lads. They're definitely going to take so much from your experiences and you being here. And I'd just like to hand over this, so whenever we get a former England goalkeeper here,
yeah,
we like to pass on the shirt again. Okay. So this is your shirt.
Oh, is it?
In the new kit.
Oh wow, thank you very much.
Anderson #1. So
nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.